Now, don't know if you can hear me. It's starting to get dark because it's past 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 85 knot gusts. But we're not going to let that disturb us. We're going to go over to the boat and have a lovely evening. I think if we stopped every time it got a wee bit windy, we'd never get anything done. So, aye, we're going to go to the boat and get some bits and pieces done, and we'll see you over there. Now, we're over on the boat. I'm not sure whether I'll stay, to be honest. I'm actually trying to work out somewhere to move it that's safer, because the direction that the wind's coming from just now is the worst direction for this mooring. And it's to get an awful lot worse, and there's been a few really big jerks where the mooring and everything's tightened up and the whole boat's just went. Oops. So aye, there's a bit of thunder and lightning as well tonight. Luckily in Scotland we don't get too much fork lightning, it's usually just blanket lightning. But aye, it's going to be a wild night. And to be honest, in this area I can't think of anywhere that's going to be really sheltered. So aye, it's fairly getting blown about now. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, we'll crack on and see what I can get done. One of the things I did get, now this is just for us over here working to stay warm, is one of these wee gas heaters with 3 bars on it. So it should make things a lot warmer, and we should be able to paint and things inside, because it can get us up to about 25-30 degrees in here, which is more than enough. So aye, we'll use this for while we're working on the boat and things, and when we're going away on adventures we can just leave it in the house, because it is a bit bulky and things. Whoa. Sorry about the wobbling, the boat's just up and down all over the place tonight. It's quite a rough night. But aye, it's another wee bit we got. I mentioned in last week's video that we were getting cork tiles to insulate the hull and things. It says they're self-adhesive, but I'm going to use my own adhesive for them to make sure they stay. They're about 5mm thick. This one actually got wet coming over, because why wouldn't it? As soon as we jumped out the car there was a monsoon. But aye, I mean, they're pretty basic. But what it will do is it will stop the heat transfer, and it will stop condensation inside, and then we can put a headline in with a foam back on it on top of that, and it should work quite well for the walls. And then for the ceiling, we'll put that up, and then we'll put our wood up. And again, that should stop the condensation. Just like the floor that we've done, any wood that we put up on the ceiling will be sealed in epoxy anyway. So, aye. Well, it's sorry about the camera. It's still quite crazy. It's apparently gusting up to 76 mile an hour just now. So I went out and put another couple of lines onto the mooring buoy, onto the actual shackle of the mooring buoy. So it's not moving quite as much as it did, but it's still moving a bit. And I don't know how much you can hear of me over the generator, but we've got that running to run the wee heater just now. But aye, anyway, I'm going to crack on with this floor and we'll see how I do. Now, I've got the floor laid, and as you can hear, I've got the generator going, because I've got the fan that moves air going just to get any dust out. And I've even got PPE. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go round and I'm going to buff it down, buff all the hull and things down, so that I can start tabbing it on. So I'm only going to buff it down about that much on the wood and on the hull. As I say, it'll just nip round with the grinder. It'll make a lot of dust. This thing can move meters and meters cubed per minute of air, and I'll have this on. So I should be a lot safer. Aye, I'll get that ready and then we'll get it cleaned down with some acetone, move it up first, clean it down, and then we'll get ready for tabbing this blow in. And we'll come back in once I'm doing that. I don't know if you can hear me okay, but this is actually quite a good one. It's not fogging up at all. I can see perfectly clearly. So I'm really happy at that. Well, that's me got it done, right round. Quite dusty just now, but I'm actually feeling quite good with the respirator. So happy days. I'll get this cleaned out and I'll come back in once the generator's finished and you can hear me better. Now, Sally's just going round everywhere that was sanded with acetone and a rag. It's just 99.5% acetone. That'll just take any dust and grease out of it and make sure that the epoxy adheres properly so that it keys properly and we get a good mechanical bond. Because the last thing we want is, after doing all this work, for it not to work. You know, I'm wanting this to last another 50 years, so aye. We'll get it cleaned and then we'll get it tabbed in, and once it's tabbed in and hardened, or once it's kicked, then we're going to paint it with some underwater primer. And then we'll put a top coat on that. And the only reason I want the paint on the top of the epoxy that we've already done is just for wear and tear. That's another couple of layers that we can actually walk up and down on until we get proper flooring for it. So we're not going to wear it back through to the wood, and the wood's not going to soak up moisture and swell.
There you go.
Now, we are in a well ventilated area. The door's open and the hatch and the window, so Sally will want to get wasted on the acetone.
Yeah, I've got a tiny little nick on my finger. Oh.
Sally, Sally, PPE. PPE.
Uh-huh. I'll give you PPE. In fact, I did. I gave you the mask.
You did? Yes. Just a disclaimer. I brought lots of gloves, rubber gloves and things, so it's all our own fault.
Always. Glutton for punishment.
What's that saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't lead a Sally to gloves.
It is true. I cannot garden with gloves on. I can't feel the soil. I don't know what it's telling me.
I'm the same when I'm doing engines and things, but that doesn't mean that it's right.
No.
As I said in last week's video, it's a different world now. So, aye, things are done properly, they're done safely, and apparently people live longer. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That's longer sailing around the world.
Right, is it? Backing myself into a corner here.
Aye. Okay, we've got it all clean now and we're ready to start tabbing it in. And what I've done was, rather than getting the thick chop strand, I got the finer stuff, because that actually goes round corners and things. It adheres round corners better than the thick stuff. Quite often with the thick stuff, when you put it on a tight corner, it will just kind of lift out and you'll not get full coverage. So this stuff is much more flexible and it will go round the corner easier. Well, that's the theory anyway. I'm just, I've got 2 kilos here of epoxy, and I'm just going to put the activator thingamabobber. Just make sure it's nice and thick there. It's kind of tricky under this hose, but you should persevere. The hose keeps on making the scissors go in the wrong direction.
It's nice and helpful.
Aye. Make sure there's loads and loads in there. These wee wheels are really handy just to get right into the corner there.
And that helps make it mould round the
Aye.
edges, doesn't it?
Aye, they're really handy. Actually going to take that back off just to make sure it's got plenty in there. Now I'm underneath the sink here. I don't know if you can see this through hull here. This sits above the water line and this is for the sink, which is a wee bit minging, but when I first got the boat down in Halen I actually blocked that off just to make sure there was no water coming in. So what I'm going to do is reinstate that just now so that we've got a working sink. And then I don't know if you see this pipe here. This pipe is the water intake for the tap. So I'm going to reinstate that so that we can actually just fill 25 litre tubs of water and have running water and a working sink. This whole unit and things will eventually come out and there'll be a new sink in it, but that'll be a few months away. So I'm going to get something working just now so that, you know, we're no carrying basins up and down and things like that. Anyway, I'm going to get the Sikaflex that I put, I'm going to push that through and I'll catch it on the other side, and then I'll get this hose back in and I'll get some hose clamps on it because they had it set up without any clamps for some reason. Don't know why, but aye, I'll get that sorted. And now it looks absolutely minging in there. As I said, this whole thing's coming out. There's going to be a new cooker because that thing's just really rusty under there. So we'll get a new cooker and a new grill, and aye, but it's all going to take a bit of time. So as I said, I'll reinstate this just now, and at least then we've got a working sink and we've got water that we can pump into it. So let me get that done and I'll come back in. Now this is the hose pipe that was going from the sink down to the through hull, and it's got a wee bit brittle over the years, especially in this area. And when they get brittle, they can risk cracking and things like that. But there's a wee trick that you can actually do with it. It's just boiling water and fairy liquid. Usually I would steep it in some boiling water and fairy liquid for a while, but in this occasion, because it's needing cleaned as well, I'm going to stick the fairy liquid down the inside of it, and then I'm just going to run boiling water through it. It'll get all the gunk out of it, and it'll soften that plastic back up, and it'll be good to use again. It's a trick that an old guy taught me years and years ago, and it always seems to work. I mean, I know that when they get hot they'll get soft initially, but they actually stay a lot softer as well, a lot more flexible. So once this kettle boils, I'll stick some fairy liquid and some boiling water down it, and we'll take it from there. I'm just going to put these down to the next setting here. There we go. As I said, I'll just pour it down rather than steeping it. Now, obviously this is quite dangerous, so if you're not completely confident, don't do it. Don't end up burning yourself with this 82 foot of rubber hose. I'm doing this because it's 90 mile or 2.5 hours to the nearest shop that I can buy this, so it'd be a 5-hour round trip for me just to get some of this. What I'll do is I'll turn it the other way, but as you can see, that's a lot more flexible already. That's went lovely and flexible. A wee bit hard on this side still, so I'll turn it up this way and I'll grip it with the pliers. And I'll pour some more down this side, and I'll let it get through this side. Maybe a wee drop more. This. I don't know what the liquid does, or if it's just that particular brand or what, but as I said, I was taught this years and years ago when I was in my teens, so it might just be the hot water, it might be a chemical in that liquid. Obviously we're not sponsored by them, it's just something I've done for years and years. As you can see, it's lovely and flexible now. There's no danger of it going to crack or anything like that. You can fold it right up in itself, no problem, and it just goes back to its form. So I'll give this a proper wash out. I'll get a bottle brush down inside it just to make sure it's all good and clean, and that'll be good to go. I've got 2 Jubilee clips now, because it was on the sink without Jubilee clips. I don't quite know how that worked, but aye, I'll just get a wash now and that should be good to go. Now, I don't know how much you're going to be able to see in here, but I'm actually putting Jubilee clips on it now. I can understand why there was no Jubilee clips on them before, because it's really difficult to get in there. There's not much space and it's a pain in the backside, but at the same time, you've got to do things right. So I shall persevere. There we go. Until I get this good and tight. I'm thankful that it's got a number 7, a metric number 7 head in it, so that I can get the ratchet in there, because that would be an absolute nightmare sitting with a flathead screwdriver trying to put that in. Getting half a turn at a time. That's it starting to tighten up now though. Good. Now, this is me putting the one on underneath the sink. We've got to be careful not to clamp this one too tight. It's only thin plastic, so I don't want to crack it or break it. But I can see that starting to bulge up the top here. So that should be tight enough. Maybe one more for luck. There we go. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where the foot pump is and find where the hoses are for that. And for now, I think we're just going to put a 50 litre water tub in there, or a water bladder, and we'll use the water like that. Now, I'm outside here, I just want to get this bung off, just get the Sikaflex out that I put in. So, I remember to bring a knife because it's in there pretty good. Oops.
Beating up the cameraman.
Aye. There we go. Now, get that out. Good job I've got a filleting knife on board. There we go. It's just a wee bit in here now. Right, that should run clear now, or run free even. Perfect. So that's has now got a sink that drains, and we've got a tap that pumps. So we've basically got running water. I mean, we're basically living in luxury now.
Aye.
Good, that's another wee job off the list. And it'll allow us to do bits and pieces, wash the vegetables and things in the sink.
Now we just have to go around the boat again.
Well, we're going down to Inverness today, because we're going to get some stuff for an extra bit on the mooring. After getting absolutely battered with that wind, it came in at the exact wrong direction for the mooring for the boat, and I'm not 100% happy with it. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to get a big shackle, and I'm going to get a chain, and I'm going to get concrete, and I'm going to put another 150 kilo concrete block in, so that I've got 2 chains, 2 big blocks, and I'll be a lot happier at that. But what an amazing day, absolutely gorgeous. A wee covering of snow on the hills, but absolutely beautiful. Now I'm going to get some of this 10mm chain for the riser on the other side. Is it 734 a metre? So I think I'll probably need about 10 metres of this. I also bought a few bags of cement. I bought enough for to do 200 kilos of cement concrete mixture. Interestingly, they don't sell full bags now. It's only these 25 kilo ones. When I was younger, it used to be 50 kilo or 100 weight bags, and these ones were classed as a half bag. Now, this pine here, this is the kind of thing we're looking at for the ceiling inside. So we're going to have a look, get a few packets of this and see how it goes. As I said, we'll get it sealed up with epoxy before it actually goes on. So I ended up getting, I think, 10 square metres of pine here for the ceiling. So that should do for what I'm looking at. If not, I mean, we can always nip down for another couple of packs. I've ordered epoxy, so once that arrives, we will start getting things cut and fit. But I'm quite happy with it. It's nice and light. It's no very thick stuff, and it's tongue and groove, so it should go together quite easily, and it'll look good. It'll certainly look better than those old dirty headlinings that was in there before, that was all rusty and mouldy. And then I got some more ply for building the head. Now I've got 3 of these stones. They don't look like much, but that's actually a metre high and they weigh 150 kilos each. I know this because I've actually weighed them, because I had to move house with them, so I was trying to work out the weight of them for bringing them up here in a van. So I know that one of them is 130 kilos and the other 2 is 145 to 150 kilos. So I'm going to put the 3 of them in this concrete mix for the new ground tackle for the mooring. And then I've got 200 kilos of sand and cement and gravel. So I mean that should put me over 600 kilos for this new concrete block. And the good thing is I can take them over a bit at a time to the boat, and I can mix them on the boat and then chuck it overboard kind of thing. And that'll give me an extra 600 kilos or over a half a metric ton, because I know that concrete, when it gets submerged, it loses, I think, about 30% of its weight. Is it 20 or 30% underwater? So between these, they're granite, so they're, as I said, about 150. So 3 of them is 420-ish, plus the 200 of the sand and cement. And then I've got the chain and things. I've got 30mm anchor chain for mooring pontoons that will go onto that, and then I've got the 10mm chain that I'll show you just now as a riser chain. And I'll show you what I'm planning with it. Because as I said, that the direction that wind came from that last time was the exact wrong position, and it's the first time that it's actually came in that direction since we've been here, and it's the one that comes straight in off the sea. So I'll show you what I'm planning with it. I'll draw it out on a piece of paper, and I'll go and get my crayons and things, and I'll draw that out for you, and I'll let you see what I'm planning. Now, excuse my crude drawing, but this is a basic representation of the mooring. It's obviously not to scale, but the island's over there. Now, the way I've got it set up just now is I've got a concrete block here, a 30mm chain on each side. The concrete block and the 30mm chain gets buried in the mud, and then I've got the riser chains on both sides coming up to the centre float. Now, most of the time when we get heavy winds, it'll come in from this direction and get stopped by the hills, so we get a breeze. Usually the boat is pointing in that direction here. It's in there like that. That's the stern that way. So, you know, it's usually getting covered. I mean, there's hills over here as well. But that last storm there, we were getting 80 knot gusts coming straight in from the sea. And what I'd done was I actually shortened the snubber on this, because I was inside, and the gust would calm down and the boat would creep forward closer to the float again, and then the gust would kick in and the boat would shoot back and it would yank on all these chains, and it was almost enough to knock us off our feet. So what I done was I shortened it to keep it closer to that all the time, so it wasn't building up so much momentum. But these 80 kilo chains that were buried, the momentum was actually enough that instead of having them along this way like they were, it actually overnight it pulled them down that way, which moved the boat back about 5 metres. And I'm not happy about that. I don't want it to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do with this 600 kilo block is I'm going to stick it in here in the direction of the wind, and then I'll have the 80 kilo chain, and then I'll have another riser onto that. So instead of just having the two blocks like people usually do on a mooring, I'll have the three, and I'll have this big heavy anchor coming or out in the direction that the worst wind comes from, because it was coming from this direction. And as I said, it was absolutely battering it. It was enough to move things on shelves, the judder, when it was catching. This movement was enough to move things on shelf. So I'm going to stick that in. And there's these the springs that you can get on mooring lines, but there's rubber ones now. So I'm going to put them on here and on here, just to take that shock out of it, and just to take stress off the whole system, because that will slow it down rather than allowing it to shock load the two cleats. Because initially I had it on a cleat on this side and a cleat on that side with a snubber, and it was on 8-strand banana rope. But what I ended up doing was I put another 2 ropes out, one to the cleat there and one to the cleat further up. So I ended up having it on 4 cleats just to make sure there was redundancy in case it ripped one of the cleats out on this side or that side. I wanted just there to be extra redundancy there. The cleats are all fine, the ropes held perfectly, but as I said, it took these 80 kilo 30mm chains out the mud. Usually when they're getting pulled on, it's just the top metre that will actually move, and the rest of it will stay in the mud. But over the space of the night, it gradually pulled it over, and it moved the boat about 5 metres, as I said. So, I'm going to put this in so that it can't pull them. It'll lift this whole chain and drop the chain and lift it and drop it. And there will no be any load on this or this or this. All the shock will be taken by the 3 80-kilo chains, and that will keep my boat from moving. I'm going to renew all the shackles. I've got new shackles coming. I think the shackles are rated to something like 12 tonne each. And then I've got the 10mm chain. I was going to buy it out of B&Q, as you seen there in the video, until I noticed that the 10mm chain in B&Q is only rated to 900 kilos. Now I know that would probably do, but the stuff that I've actually ordered is rated to 4 tonnes. I've ordered it from a proper engineering company, so I've got 3 4-tonne chains, 3 12-tonne shackles, and 500 kilos here, 500 kilos there, 600 kilos, and then 80, 80 and 80 on a 4-tonne boat. So that should be more than enough. I mean, it's going overkill, but I really didn't like the way that the cleats were getting shock loaded. Just by that, when the gusts were dropping, it was creeping forward to the float and then shooting backwards when the gusts came up. I really didn't like that, and I'm looking to take all the shock off the cleats on the boat. I'll remove some of it with the rubbers going to the snubber, or the rubbers on the snubber, and then these 80-kilo chains, if it yanks, they'll lift up and then drop, and it'll not put the strain on these. So I hope you enjoyed my stickman drawing, but that's a rough idea of where I'm going with it. We showed you a gas heater that we got earlier on in the video there. What do you think, Sally? Do you think we'll stick with that?
After its performance, kind of no. It put out brilliant heat.
Aye, it
We
did.
had it on 3 bars for a little while. It was fantastic. We turned it off, did some work, put it on 2 bars and had it on for about an hour, and that was it. It was empty.
It burned through 3.5 kilos of gas in an hour.
The heat it put out was fantastic.
Aye.
But you can't afford to run that.
No. The reason I went with gas was because we bought, the Chinesium, the cheap Chinese diesel heaters. We actually bought 4 of them a few years ago. And I heated the entire house on some diesel I was able to get.
It was a bit Heath Robinson, the way it was
Aye.
set up, but it was, I think that was the warmest winter and driest winter. And we had a big hanging rack in the dining room, hanging from the ceiling. The amount of washing that you could get dry in a day with very little diesel heat was phenomenal.
I mean,
it was brilliant.
We had 2 diesel heaters running, and we were only using a few litres a day. The problem I had, and the reason it put me off diesel heaters, was I was constantly repairing them. If the fuel pumps weren't going, the circuit boards were going and things like that, and it was just constant. And you had to get the exhaust exactly right, or it filled up with fluid, and then you were getting error codes, and you had to go and research these error codes. And
that was a bit of a pain in the backside.
Aye.
Side of it, but the performance was
fantastic. Brilliant. That's kind of why I didn't go with the diesel heaters originally. But I think it's at Webasto. Apparently they do really good ones. So we're looking at doing, well, we used to synchronise there. Aye.
Itchy nose.
Exactly the same time. Anyway, I digress. we are looking at diesel heaters, and we were thinking about paying for expensive one just to get a decent one in the hope that we didn't have the same problems. I mean, we paid £100 each for the Chinese ones, but by the time we bought new fuel pumps and new heater elements and new filters and constant circuit boards, and then we had to pay for one of those reducers that went from 240 volts down to 12 volts. It ended up roughly the same as an expensive heater anyway. But if anybody knows of a really good, reliable diesel heater brand, stick it in the comments for us. I mean, we were looking at those ones, was it the Alaskan ones, that burn the actual diesel, but you need a chimney and things for them.
Yeah,
So-
those ones, yeah.
Aye, I think we'll go with the kind of diesel heater style, and we'll just run the vent through one of the back berths.
And
And we'll-
if it has more than 2 outlets, that would be really good.
Aye,
'Cause
we
one of the ones we had
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 4
4
outlets.
outlets,
Aye.
which we could then heat the bedrooms.
Aye, we actually hit 3 bedrooms and a bathroom
Yeah.
with one heater. It was fantastic. I mean, some days you had to turn it off because it was 30 degrees in the bedrooms and minus 15 outside. So
Yeah, very efficient.
when they were working, they were brilliant. They used very little fuel and all the rest of it. But aye, it wrecked my head because if one wasn't broken, the other one was broken.
And guarantee they would break when you were at work, and
Aye,
I couldn't fix it.
exactly. Aye, so if anybody knows of a really good, reliable one, let us know. I think what we'll do is we'll buy one of them. I'll set it up in one of the back compartments, and I'll put the exhaust out the back compartment with a one-way valve on it, and we'll bring the hose in through one of the berths and just have it blowing into the galley and into the main salon.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's £52 for 3.5 kilos of gas up here,
And
and
if we go through one of them in
in an
a few
hour.
hours, no.
I mean, bear in mind the last 3.5 kilos of gas that done my entire journey up the coast and another 5 months worth of cooking.
Right.
So it went through a phenomenal amount of gas, just to produce 20 degrees of heat
Aye.
in a small boat. But aye, if you know of a really good one, let us know, because I think that's how we're going to go. I'll just get a decent sized diesel tank, and we'll run a diesel heater from there. Does that sound
I
like a
think-
plan?
I think that sounds good. I think it's going to be better than what we've got currently.
Aye.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, we're going to end the video here this week. I know it's been a wee bit all over the place, but as I said in last week's video, we're just kind of ducking and diving in between the winter. We're at the really windy, rainy phase of the winter just now. It'll be a lot better when it gets just to the cold phase, because it's not usually as windy, and at least then I can get stuff done. But aye, we'll keep on bringing as much content as we can throughout the winter, and we want to keep on making progress as well. I just want to say a massive thank you to our superstar patrons. You're absolutely amazing. Your support means the world to us. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for watching. If you wouldn't mind, like, share and subscribe. And I've just realised I always do all the talking here.
I thought about that the other day. But we have to take it in turns.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, share and subscribe, please.
Yes, there you
And
go.
thank you for your continued support. It really is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. We are going to do the video slightly differently. I'm going to build it up so that I've got enough footage that I can put the video up on Patreon the week before. So you'll get the next week ones early type thing, like some other creators have done. But as we're talking just now, I'm going to finish filming this, and then I'm going to go straight on and edit the video and put it up. So, aye, we need to build up a wee kind of cushion so that we can start doing that, and then the Patreons will get get the next video the week early kind of thing. And we'll see how that works for everybody, rather than cutting down the size of the videos. I think I spoke to some Patreons, and that seemed like a really good suggestion. So I think we'll go with that and see how it goes. Anyway, I'll stop waffling, and we shall see you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you very much again.
See you next week.
Take care.
Have a lovely week. Bye.